JP Morgan just flagged the biggest gap between oil's listed price and its real price in recorded history. $35 difference, and almost nobody is talking about it. And in the same week that gap hit $35, tanker rerouting data showed shipping routes quietly changed, even while the official ceasefire was being announced. Oil, which was above $120 just months ago, has settled back to around $90, and the markets are acting like the crisis is over. But they're not. Every single time in the last 50 years that oil made a big sudden jump, a recession followed. Every single time. 1974 to 1976, recession. And right now in 2026, we just lived through the biggest oil supply disruption in history, bigger than all of those combined. So the question isn't whether a recession is coming. The real question is, why does oil have this much power over the entire economy? And what exactly happens between the pump and your paycheck? That's what this video is about. Why does a pipeline you've never seen determine whether you keep your job? How does oil get from a tanker in the Persian Gulf to your grocery bill? And what's the exact date your wallet tells you the recession already started? Let's start with the simplest version of this. The stock market right now is near all-time highs. Wall Street is happy. CEOs are smiling. The official narrative is, everything is fine. But then you go fill up your car, or you go to the grocery store, and something feels off. Prices are higher. Your money isn't going as far as it used to. That's not a coincidence. That's two completely different stories being told at the same time. One story is the paper story, what the numbers say on a screen. The other is the physical story, what it actually costs to live your life. And when those two stories are this far apart, history tells us one of them is always wrong. And it's never the person at the gas pump who's wrong. Now, you might be thinking, but America is a net oil exporter now. We produce our own. We're protected, right? Wrong. The U.S. still imports about 6 million barrels a day because American refineries are literally built to process a different type of crude than what domestic wells produce. You can't just swap them. So the disruption hits you anyway. Oil is how food gets to your grocery store. It's how factories run. It's how planes fly, ships move, and fertilizer gets made. Oil is literally the plumbing system of the entire global economy. The world uses about 100 million barrels of oil every single day. Let that sink in. 100 million barrels every day. Now, when the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important shipping lanes on Earth, got disrupted in early 2026, the IEA called it, and I'm quoting directly here, the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Brent crude shot past $120 a barrel almost overnight. And right now, even after some of that chaos settled down, oil is still hovering around $90, which sounds fine on paper, but physical delivery prices, that's a completely different number. And what I'm about to show you next, almost nobody is reporting on this. There are actually two prices for oil. There's the paper price, the number you see when you Google oil price today. That's around $90. And then there's the physical price, what it actually costs to buy a real barrel that gets put on a real ship and delivered to a real refinery. During the peak of the disruption, that number was over $130. That $35 plus gap between those two prices, JP Morgan says that's the biggest spread ever recorded in history. Think of it like this. Imagine you're buying concert tickets. The official listed price is $90, but every single seller on the secondary market is charging $130 because there are no real tickets left. The listed price is just a number on a screen. It has nothing to do with what you'll actually pay. That's what's happening with oil right now. And when that gap closes, when the paper price has to catch up to the physical reality, that's when you feel it. At the pump, at the store, in your mortgage payment. The clock is ticking. Now, here's how an oil shock actually spreads through an economy. And this is the part most people miss. It doesn't hit everyone at the same time. Think of it like a shockwave from an explosion. The people closest to the center get hit first. The people further away get hit later, but often harder, because they had no warning. Asia got hit first. Countries like Japan, India, Philippines, they source most of their oil from the Persian Gulf. When supply got cut, their fuel prices spiked almost immediately. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency. Indonesia and Vietnam told workers to stay home to conserve fuel. Then it reached Africa. Countries like Ethiopia and Zimbabwe started diluting their petrol, literally mixing it with other chemicals to stretch what was left. Then Europe. Then finally, the United States. J.P. Morgan flagged the U.S. as last in line to feel the impact, mainly because of domestic production and strategic reserves. But here's the thing about being last in line. By the time the shockwave reaches you, the buffer is already gone. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration's June 2026 outlook, OECD oil inventories are expected to fall to their lowest level since 2003 by the end of this year. You're next. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but we've survived oil shocks before, right? Yes, we have. So let's look at what those actually cost us. 1973, Arab oil embargo. About 7% of global supply went offline. Oil prices went up 300%. U.S. GDP fell 3.2% in 1974, the worst single year since the Great Depression. Unemployment hit 9%. Inflation peaked at 12.3%. And the recession lasted 16 months. Iranian Revolution. Oil doubled in price within a year. The U.S. entered 2 back-to-back recessions. The Federal Reserve had to raise interest rates to 20% just to kill the inflation. Unemployment eventually hit nearly 11%. Gulf War. Iraq's invasion of Kuwait took 4.3 million barrels a day offline. Oil went from $15 to $42 a barrel in 2 months, a 75% spike. Recession followed, lasted 8 months. Now look at 2026. The IEA said this is the largest supply disruption in the history of the oil market, larger than 1973, larger than 1974, larger than 1975. And yet the stock market, until very recently, was acting like nothing happened. You know that scene in The Dark Knight when the Joker says, "Why so serious?" That's basically Wall Street right now, standing in the middle of a fire, completely unbothered. 3 disruptions, 3 recessions, every single time. And this one is bigger than all 3 combined. You do the math. Okay, so now let's actually explain the mechanism. How does expensive oil cause a recession? Step by step. Step 1, oil prices go up. Step 2, everything that uses oil to be made or transported gets more expensive. That's food, that's clothing, that's electronics. That's basically everything in every store you've ever walked into. Step 3, inflation rises. Your dollar buys less than it did before. Step 4, the Federal Reserve sees inflation rising and raises interest rates to slow it down. Step 5, now mortgages are more expensive. Car loans are more expensive. Business loans are more expensive. Companies stop hiring. Some start laying people off. Step 6, people have less money. They spend less. Demand drops. Step 7, the economy shrinks. That's a recession. Right now, according to Global Data's analysis from just 2 days ago, every $10 increase per barrel of oil costs the U.S. economy about 0.1 percentage points of GDP growth. That sounds small, but we're not talking about a $10 move. We're talking about oil that was $55 a barrel in early 2025, jumping to over $120 by March 2026. That's a $65 move. Do that math. And Vanguard warned in March 2026 that if oil stays above $125 for the rest of the year, Europe tips into recession. No debate. Done. But that's not even the scariest part. The scariest part is what happens to your food. Here's the thing that nobody's talking about yet, and this is the part that scares economists the most. Oil doesn't just affect gas prices, it affects food prices. And the delay between the two is about 6 to 12 months. Here's why. The most common fertilizer in the world is made primarily from natural gas. Natural gas, just like oil, flows through those same disrupted supply routes. When energy prices spike, fertilizer prices spike. And when fertilizer prices spike, food gets more expensive. Everywhere, for everyone. We already saw this exact playbook in 2022. Energy prices spiked in February after Russia invaded Ukraine, and then food prices followed throughout the rest of that year, causing political crises across Africa and Asia. The fuse was lit in early 2026. The explosion at the grocery store? That's coming in late 2026 and into 2027. Think of it like a delayed earthquake. You don't feel it until the wave arrives, but the wave is already traveling. So let's bring it all together. An oil shock doesn't just make your gas more expensive, it's a chain reaction. Oil goes up, everything made with oil goes up. Inflation rises, the Fed raises rates, borrowing gets expensive, businesses slow down, jobs get cut, people spend less, the economy shrinks. That's the machine, and it has run like clockwork every single time in history. Now, maybe this time is different. Maybe the ceasefire holds. Maybe supply comes back faster than expected. Maybe the Fed threads the needle perfectly. All of that is possible. But the physical data, the inventory levels, the OECD reserve numbers, the food chain timeline, the historical record, all of it is pointing in one direction. The stock market is telling you one story. The physical world is telling you another. In every case in history, it was the physical world that turned out to be right. So, what do you do with this information? That depends on your situation. But the first step is understanding what's actually happening, instead of just watching the number on the screen and assuming everything is fine. Tell me in the comments, what do you think hits you first? The gas pump, the grocery store, or your job? I'm reading every reply. Next video, I'm going to show you exactly who gets paid when your food gets more expensive, and it's not who you think. Subscribe so you don't miss it.